Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of the Scratch a Track podcast presented by the Dude and Grim Show. I am the Dude.
And I am Grim. And today we are going to discuss Tommy by The Who.
The Who, the Rolling Stone and The Who.
The original rock opera.
Yeah, man. People talk about, this is their fourth studio album. I kind of figured it was actually later than that, but I think they were sort of searching, from what I read, kind of sort of searching and looking for a direction. At least Pete Townsend was.
In a lull as a band. Force.
Yeah, they had lots of hit singles and they had done very well with that. But as far as I think getting
like
anything
albums
to stick, like it just kind of wasn't happening. And
it's interesting because if you look at the wiki page, it talks about their UK chronology and their US chronology, because back in those days, you didn't just release an album. It was you released something in the US and something in the UK. And I actually have this double record of theirs. I didn't bring it down because it's not Tommy, that my dad gave me, which is called The Who Hooligans, and it's basically like a greatest hits.
Is it a collection of their singles, or is it like greatest hits? It includes Bob O'Reilly and
it would include Bob O'Reilly. There's some stuff. Pinball Wizard's on there, so it kind of goes through their stuff. Magic Bus, dude, I Can See for Miles. Which, if you talk about their singles, that's one of my favorites for sure.
It's killer. That's great.
But unfortunately, I did not have this vinyl to hold up. But I intend to get it at some point because I think it's a great album and it's really interesting to listen to. And it's funny because it being billed as a rock opera, you expect that it's just going to kind of there's going to be like big parts that are songs, and you're going to go through instrumental parts and just, it kind of just takes you on and it does.
Yeah, it does. So this is 1969. So this is, post Pet Sounds, post Sgt. Pepper, which usually people consider those like, quote unquote, like concept albums and whatnot. And it's funny because you hear, I don't know, man, we've done an episode on Pet Sounds. So go ahead and check that out if you're a big Beach Boys fan. I don't know. Personally, I don't know if the material of it and sort of what the songs are about. I don't know if I personally think of that as like a concept. I think
this album or Pet Sounds?
No. Pet Sounds.
Okay.
Yeah, Pet Sounds.
Yeah. I dig.
And then even with Sgt. Pepper, like, it has this trippy psychedelic feel, the way it was produced and constructed. But even John Lennon said in the Beatles
lyrically speaking,
he's like, Mr. Kite has nothing to do with some of these other songs. There's no thread there, but whatever, people call it a concept album. Whereas this has an actual
story,
construct of a story. Now it is interesting, and from what we did read about it, and I don't know if we need to get into the whole story. There is a story, there is a theme. I think, again, with something like this, it's always open to interpretation. And this is a good time to say, like, we would like to hear your interpretations, and this may be a good as any time for you to go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment below
if you would.
Awesome, please do. And if you're here and you're fans of The Who, we did an album. We did. It must have been last year. We did an episode on their album "Who's Next," where we talk about it, and then at the end, just like in here, we scratch a track.
Yep.
So, we'll talk about the album for a little bit and everything, and then we go through track by track, and then we make our choice at the end, and you get to play along. So, definitely. And another thing maybe we could do here, Graham, I don't know. It's tough to do with an album like this. When we've talked about double albums before, I think we did it with Physical Graffiti. We've done it with The Fragile. We're like, hey, and even the White Album, could you make one really, really, really good album? And now I understand that with this, where there is sort of a theme and a story, it may be tough, especially if you wanted to get it on one vinyl. What's that? 44
Yeah,
minutes.
I don't think you could do that, but I also think if you take the story out of it, you could certainly make one hell of an amazing record without some of the other stuff.
Yeah, because there are, at least for me, it was interesting just having listened. I have not listened to this album in a long time. So,
really?
The past week or so, really kind of spinning it a little bit. It's been
probably back.
It's been good, and I just realized how many of the songs I was like, gosh, I know so many of these songs. So I think if people even aren't as familiar with this album, you've heard a lot of the songs off this album, and it's really cool because there's a lot of common threads. And now we've recently done episodes on King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, which you may think these bands sort of don't have a whole lot in common, but I will say, just like with their previous, the Nonagon Infinity, which we just talked about, there's a lot of themes and sounds and instrumentation and parts that kind of pop up here and there throughout their album. Yeah. It's not like just, hey, it's part of this one song and then we're done with it. It's, these things kind of are reoccurring themes. And I really like it when bands do that, and it makes perfect sense here.
Now, there's one thing I want to talk about, which you started to touch on.
Okay.
And that was kind of the comparison to Pet Sounds and Sgt. Pepper's. Now, I believe it was producer and confidant to the band Kit Lambert, who had expressed to Townsend, who was working on a lot of this material kind of in the background, that he wanted to make something that was a cohesive album that flowed together and had a common theme, with the caveat, which these other two albums did not have, that you could play it live. And that is the difference between this and Sgt. Pepper's or Pet Sounds. Yep. And it's interesting. I guess in all fairness, I haven't listened to the live version of this whole thing, but I've heard a lot of the tracks played live, and dude, they translate really well. And I think some of this, and I know you want to talk about this, they took a break from recording and they did some other work. If you look at classical music, there's things called suites, and what suites are is where you have several different distinct pieces of music, but they're connected through some sort of a common thread, and you would play them together. A really common example that a lot of people know is Bach's Prelude to Cello Suite Number 1.
Obviously,
but they kind of started doing that, and I think one of the first examples was the song A Quick One While He's Away, and I'll let you kind of talk about one of the best performances of this.
Yes, it is an amazing performance. And I'm trying to think, I think perhaps, did we see Rushmore before we heard about the Rock and Roll Circus?
Yes. I feel very confident in saying that.
In the movie Rushmore, there's a great kind of montage sequence where I think he's starting to fuck with Bill Murray. Yeah, they're messing with each other back and forth, and he's running over the bike, and he's cutting his brakes and doing
putting
this
the
stuff.
Bees in the hotel room and shit.
Everything.
Yeah,
wonderful. Obviously, if you haven't seen it, great movie, great scene. But I think that's where we were really first introduced to this song. But then we also were just fans of the Rolling Stones and that era of music, and we had heard about or got this DVD called the Rock and Roll Circus. And now what this was, it was a show where the Rolling Stones, they would kind of go on last, and it's at this sort of circus, and they had all these guest musicians. And I mean, dude, who played? I mean, the Who played at that. Taj Mahal was there.
Jethro Tull.
And one of our favorite bands,
the Dirty Mac.
Group, the Dirty Mac. Could have gotten Yoko out of there, but still.
Well, in the good version of Your Blues, in her defense, she just sat by the amp for that one.
Yeah. I mean, we all need a good paper. We all need a good paperweight, don't we?
Yeah.
So, thanks, Yoko. But
you're a
the
true
version
artist.
dude, the version that they play of A Quick One While She's Away, that's the version that's in the movie. I think I think
it
they
is.
just recorded
It is,
that
and
live,
I've actually found and listened to like a studio recorded version of it, and dude, it's just not as good.
Not as good.
And that's one thing that I think is great about the Who, which I can't say about every band, because there's been several, like another one I would reference that's off the album Tommy is Go to the Mirror.
Yeah.
Right. And in Go to the Mirror, and they kind of touch back into it. It's not just Go to the Mirror, but I think they touch back into it in We're Not Going to Take It. And that's like listening to you. I get the music, gazing at you. I feel the heat, that whole thing.
The Who's version of We're Not Going to Take It, not Twisted Sister. Which
correct.
We did a Songs of the Same Name episode on. And
so check that out.
It's pretty epic. I wouldn't leave this episode to go check that out now, but definitely afterwards.
Oh, yeah. But that bit of those songs, dude, they fucking crushed it at Woodstock. Yeah. I mean, they hit it so hard at Woodstock. And that was what was cool, was at Woodstock. I mean, they played some things off Tommy, because that was kind of, I think Tommy had been released by then. Yeah, May 1969. I think I want to say it was August was Woodstock, if I'm not mistaken. So that was like hot off the press, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure those, I should probably look and download. I'm sure those recordings are out there.
Oh, yeah, they are. I mean, you can watch the videos of them. And I love the way they did the videos at Woodstock with like the split screens and all that stuff. It's a really kind of unique thing. And Daltrey has this jacket on with like these frays, and he's throwing the microphone and whipping it around. And yeah, I don't know. Dude, it's...
I need to know how many people he's hit with that microphone and how many people he's knocked out with it. I bet. Man. I mean, he's had to have hit Keith or John Entwistle or Pete Townsend at least once. Or himself, dude. How do you, I mean, it's just like, how do you not do that? Anyways, he's a talented guy. Well, so anyways, kind of back to Tommy a little bit. I think we, check out the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus, though, if you're a fan of The Who or the Stones. The Stones, from that, I think that's the first live performance of Sympathy for the Devil, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
They play a bunch of stuff.
Or really anything from that era, because
Beggar's Banquet.
All the other bands that perform do a hell of an awesome job.
They do. Absolutely. So what do we got? Where else do I don't know. Oh, so it was recorded on an 8-track system. So, and it says Pete Townsend used a Gibson J200 acoustic and Gibson SG. Dude, and SG was like his kind of guitar during that time period. Yeah. Because I think at Woodstock, was it Abby Hoffman, like one of those hippie guys who he hit in the face with a Gibson SG at Woodstock? I don't know.
I mean, he must have knocked him the fuck out too, because a Gibson SG is... I don't have an SG. I have a Les Paul. And a Les Paul is thicker. The wood is thicker, and it's really heavy. But it has 2 humbucking pickups, which are like really strong pickups. They deliver a real hot signal. And the thing about the SG, which is cool, is that an SG is a little thinner and the body's shaped a little different. It has a double cutout, and it's lightweight. So like he could do things like throw it up in the air and hit a hippie asshole in the face who is giving him shit.
If it doesn't work, you can hit someone with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. But they're an SG. I mean, it has that.
Do it.
Yeah, and it has those dual humbuckers. It just that really powerful sound. For when he's doing the windmill.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The windmill, like the windmill dunk.
Oh yeah.
Dr. J. So, dude, this album, they were in the studio, I think it said, for like 6 months. And it was, I think, slow going for a while, because they were
kind of working out some of the songs,
recording at the same time. And, you hear about bands doing that where sometimes they're just in the studio forever, man. And it's got to be tough when you are writing and recording. And here's the thing, like, Pete Townsend was like the main creative, like writing driving force.
Yeah.
I mean, other people did stuff, but it was kind of hit. I mean, that's a lot of responsibility to have.
Well, yeah, when you look at this song, Entwistle wrote 2 songs and Keith Moon is credited with 1.
Yeah, and Keith's is interesting to say the least. Yeah. So
if you want to know more about Keith Moon, though, an amazing episode of my favorite podcast, aside from the Scratch a Track with the Dude and Grim show, Disgraceland has just a fucking awesome episode on Keith Moon. Really good. Yeah.
Sweet. So check that out after you check this out. But so they would actually, it got to a point, I think, where they were booking the studio like Monday through Thursday. And then they would go on the weekends and play shows just so they continue to like pay off the studio debt, or at least not get into debt, man.
Well, yeah. And another thing I read was that because of their habits and what became expected of them playing live, which was either Keith Moon destroying his drum set or Pete Townsend smashing a guitar, they were like constantly in debt because they have to buy all this new shit. And dude, a Gibson SG is not a fucking cheap guitar. Like if he's smashing an SG at every concert. Oh, dude. Yeah. That's equivalent today. I mean, for a true Gibson SG, I mean, you're probably looking at like $1,000 to $1,200.
Dude,
a show just to smash it.
Yeah. Whatever that song that was at the end, he should have just like taken one for the team and gotten some cheap ass guitar that
I know.
Hey, I'm going to play this song and, whatever, just turn up the distortion or make it sound like whatever. And then just, crush it. Yeah. But
now another thing is interesting that when they were in the studio, there's a company called Premier and they make drums and various other things. And I guess that's what Keith Moon was playing at the time.
Yeah.
And it was said that Premier had refused to loan out any more equipment to Keith Moon because he either destroyed or damaged too much of their shit, which
I'm not surprised. Like, even if he's not trying to damage it, like the dude plays hard, right? Mm-hmm. Like he plays hard, dude. He leaves it out there.
Yeah. So, yeah. Real hard.
Yeah.
He doesn't play medium.
No. So yeah, they ended up, finishing. I think they ended up finished recording in March. But dude, even John Entwistle said he was they had like re-recorded parts over and over again and just doing all this fine tuning. And it was like, dude, he was like fed up with it. He was like, dude, it was driving us crazy because I mean, I'm sure you get to a certain point where you're like, man, like, when is this ever going to be? Like, we need to be done.
Are we good?
Are we good? Are we good? Yeah. We're good. So, I think one thing, maybe before we get into it, I don't know if you have any more fun little facts or anything that you wanted to check off your list.
The only thing I want to talk about before we get into track by track is that they did a movie of Tommy. And I think that was released in 75, done in 74. And what I like, I've watched the movie. And I know when we did a Songs of the Same Name, we talked about I'm Free. And they took a bit from that movie where like Roger Daltrey's like running through the ocean and shit. It's cheesy in nowadays standards, right? But who knows what it was like back then. But they had a lot of famous people who were in the movie, including Eric Clapton, Tina Turner, Elton John. John was the Pinball Wizard in the movie.
That's right.
And there's some wedding scene where, like, I think Eric Clapton is the priest. And just other famous people. Anne Margaret was in there. Oliver Reed's listed several times, but honestly, I don't know who that is. But it's interesting because I've heard that version of Tommy too, and I don't like all the covers, but the notable ones, which is also included, I believe, on Elton John's Greatest Hits, is Elton John's version on piano of Pinball Wizard.
Okay. And
Tina Turner did a cover of The Acid Queen, and she was the Acid Queen.
I'd say she qualifies. That's great. Good for her.
So there you go.
Well, I think we should get into the tracks now. I mean, there's about 24. Now there's a couple that are pretty short that we probably won't have a whole lot to really get into. But I think before we do get into the tracks, we should make mention that there's over the years different editions of the releases, whether it be CD and vinyl. They've kind of, I don't know, messed with the timing a little bit, and where they actually cut the tracks and said, hey, this track starts here and this track starts here, which I found kind of interesting, because I started looking at, on Wiki, they have the LP version. Yeah. And it's like, oh, this song is 3 minutes and 20 seconds. And then
that's
on my
not
CD
what
version,
you see if you go on
it's
CD.
Like 5 minutes or something. And so there is some discrepancy there. The version that I'm going off of was it's the one on Apple Music. And it was actually the deluxe edition of Tommy, which is pretty sweet because it has the album itself. But then after that, it has the live version of the album from 1969, live at Capitol Theatre in Ottawa, Ontario. So,
oh, cool.
So if you're a fan of the album and you want to listen to it live, that's
I actually am going to listen to that, because I'd really like to listen to like the whole thing live.
Totally.
And I know we talked about this a little bit offline, and my only theory on this is that when you're doing the album in an analog world, the only thing that you have to really say where a track stops and ends is what you say, because it's going the whole time. But once you make it digital, you have to have a cutoff point in which you can hit the skip button and it goes to the next one. And my only thought is why the timing is weird is because they had to make it in a way where digitally, if you listen to the album, you don't hear an abrupt skip or something. So they probably had to move these things to like right before a big hit or something, so that it just kind of, it flowed.
It sounds natural. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds natural. But you still have the benefit of being able to like cut each track up. That's my theory. Sure. I don't know if anyone out there knows. Please
subscribe,
comment below with that information, because we would love to know your thoughts on there.
For sure. Well, Graham, let's get to side one and let's start our overture. How about you say that?
Yeah.
The overture has started.
Yeah. I mean, there isn't going to be a lot to say about a lot of these things. I kind of feel like we can just kind of move, because as they go through, it's the story. So in the overture, I mean, it's basically like Captain Walker, who's Tommy Walker's father, is in the war, and I don't know if it's before he leaves or he comes home on leave, and his wife is pregnant. That goes to It's a Boy. It's a Boy, right. Mrs. Walker, It's a Boy. So she has a son.
Yeah. Well, so there are French horns that are played during this, and from what I read, that
Mr. John Entwistle,
plays the French horns,
which I think you'll see that on other Who's. I think we may have brought that up at some point, maybe in Who's Next. Now don't.
Or we're not going to take it.
Yeah,
maybe, because that's the last one here. But yeah, well, and a couple things I did just want to say about the overture is there's one thing I really like about it is you hear so many of the elements are introduced.
Yeah.
The themes are introduced, and you hear pretty much almost every piece of instrumentation that is going to be on the album. There's a Pinball Wizard tease. There's just
that's what things, you would do in an opera, or say, right. And that's what I think is cool about it. Like they really took that idea and ran with it in the most honest way, I guess you could.
Sure. Yeah. So after It's a Boy, then we have 1921.
Now, 1921 to me is a pivotal spot within the story, because that's basically like his wife. There's this baby, and they say that Captain Walker didn't come home. His unborn child may never know him. So basically the thought in the story is that Captain Walker was lost in the war. Like, he wasn't coming back. So his wife takes a lover, which, I mean, what's she going to do? But then Captain Walker does come home, and he kills the lover. And apparently Tommy saw this.
Oh shit moment.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. Oh, holy fook. Yeah. But like, so Captain Walker sees this, and then this is the whole onset of the loss of his senses, being deaf, dumb, and blind, because his parents are trying to convince him of what he didn't see, but he did.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Now we move on to Amazing Journey. And what's interesting about this, and I believe it's the only time in the album, it starts with some piano playing, but there's something being played in reverse. And I
think it's like electric guitar notes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And I was like,
I like that.
It was just kind of an interesting little. I think this is the only time it really appears in the album that I remember.
Dude, I think the Amazing Journey and Sparks for me are like some of the finest moments in the album. I love that part of it a lot.
Yeah. You know, I did notice though, there was this and gosh, this could be part of maybe there was a sort of a cut, or in the CD they did a sort of a cut. In the song Amazing Journey, it's I marked it at the 425 mark. The song it starts to fade out at that point, or it fades out just before that slowly, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like interrupted with what sounds like a continuation of the song, although it's almost like an alternative version.
And yeah. I like that part.
It's interesting. It really caught my attention.
It almost has like a bit of an Eastern sound to it, and I don't know why I would say that. Yeah, far from it. Yeah. But I know exactly what you're talking about, and it is interesting how they kind of start to fade the electric part out, and then they do that.
Yeah, and then that flows kind of right into Sparks, which to me, when I listen to Sparks, it feels like okay. I'm going to say this kind of like jokingly too. To me, that Sparks, it's pretty short. It's like 2 minutes, but it feels like, this is kind of like a Journey sort of, not the band, Journey sort of
Thank God.
Feel and flow to it. And I was like, man, this is kind of like they're on the run. Where it's
you
know, a little funny. Bit. That's kind of what it is.
And then that all kind of stops and fades out, and you go to the Hawker, which I think is interesting because that's actually a cover by an old blues guy, Sonny Boy Williamson, which I can see in the way the lyrics are presented, but I like how they fit it into the story where like there's some bullshit guy who says like, oh, dude, my wife can cure him.
My wife is home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I believe the crux of, or within the story, the Hawker, his wife is actually the Acid Queen. But then you have 2 more songs in between those two.
Exactly. Well, we got to flip the record too. We got to go to side 2, Graham.
Side 2. This Christmas.
So one. This is one of my favorite songs.
Oh, on the easily. Album. I was gonna say, This is.
It's such a strange. The way they start it is so strange because it just starts right with singing.
I know.
Very few songs do that. There's usually some sort of intro or interlude or something, but it's like boom, you're just like right it, and that's an interesting way to start a side of an album too, right?
Yeah, sure. Just coming right in there. I agree,
because it's not like one song just ended and then boom, you get hit with it. No, you like right when you put it on. I could see that, being pretty jarring. You're like, what if, dude, like accidentally you turn the volume up a little too loud?
Oh yeah, and it just
boom.
Did you ever see the face?
Yeah. But it's, dude, definitely one of my favorite songs. We get to hear I think this might be the first time we hear Tommy, Can You Hear Me? Is that right? I'm not sure.
Like at the end of it?
I Tommy,
think. It's tough because they kind of, the way they do these things with the themes, unless you like make so detailed notes about every track. I know.
I said, it's like King Gizzard, man. Sometimes I'm like, wait, I've heard that before, I think.
I know.
Yeah. So
and then you start to get to the point, and it comes up again where Tommy's like, there's this sense of the parents just like can't deal with it, and there's a sense of like abandonment, and then bad things happen to him. So his cousin Kevin bullies him. Cousin Kevin sounds like a real asshole. I mean,
dude, Just give the kid an iPad.
Yeah.
That works, right?
Jeez, yeah, dude.
Yeah, put him in front of the TV. Well, this is John Entwistle's he had 2 songs. This is the first one. And I guess Pete Townsend said he wanted John to write sort of the darker themed bullying and abuse songs.
And we'll get to the next one he writes in a minute. But yeah. And then you go to the Acid Queen, which is like the second part of the Hawker. And I guess the part of the story that goes with is apparently the Acid Queen gives him LSD, thinking that this is going to just like wake up all his senses. And what I like is that the Underture is supposed to be the musical characterization of Tommy's experience with LSD.
Ah, okay. That makes sense why it's a 10-minute song. Okay. I get it. And now you see.
Damn, that is long. Wow. It's funny because when you listen to it, it all just kind of flows, and sometimes you don't really think about it.
Well, and that is one thing, and when you start looking at some of these albums like this that have such a theme, and again, bringing up King Gizzard, but also this one, a lot of times, okay, Acid Queen and Christmas and Pinball Wizard, like those ones stand out as like songs and singles. But with a lot of the other songs, like I couldn't tell you where one begins.
I know
it begins,
and I think like, that speaks well of the album because I feel like that was its intention.
That's an intention,
right?
Sure.
That's.
So we flip again.
Best intentions. So my best intention is to flip this shit to side 3.
Exactly.
And these next 2 go right together. And this is kind of more of like the parents just probably wanting to have something that would resemble a normal life. So they want to go out. They want to just do things that are them. And it's like, do you think it's all right if we leave him with Uncle Ernie? And I love, they're like, I don't know. He's had a few too many. But they leave him with them anyway. And then Fiddle About is basically about Tommy being molested, which is not
so
cool.
Uplifting. No.
Yeah, it's pretty sad, but
it is. Well, let's move on to something a little more exciting, dude. Pinball Wizard, single from this album.
Pinball Wizard and the Lizard.
I think, again, if people aren't huge fans of The Who, I'm sure this is...
this
one song from this one. It's this one. It's on all the greatest hits and everything. Dude, I love this song, man. It is so good.
One thing that's always...
pattern is...
and that I was going to say, I'm glad you brought that up. To me, it's not the strumming pattern, but how in the hell they got the acoustic guitar to sound the way it did. I just don't think I've ever heard an acoustic guitar sound quite like it does in this song. It's really incredible.
Yeah, dude, I'm a big fan of it. And
that must be the Gibson J20.
Sure it is.
So,
yes. Well, and also one thing, maybe this is a good point to talk about it. Up to this point, we haven't really heard, and I think Keith Moon may have talked about it. Everything's been pretty soft for the most part. It hasn't had a lot of like rock and your typical Who sound.
You get a little bit in the Acid Queen, but I agree with you. Yeah,
but that typical Who sound that people were used to, but you do get a little more of the electric come wailing in and Pinball Wizard, and it kind of picks up a little bit. You throughout the rest of the album, there's some, I guess, songs where maybe it rocks a little more. Yeah,
and I read that this was kind of. There was some critic in New York that I guess had like I don't know if he had bad reviews, but like
New York Times,
and he was a big pinball fan, and like this was Townsend's attempt to like please which is kind of funny because it maybe it started that way but became such an integral part and easily the most famous song on the album. Probably the most famous song by The Who.
I mean, it's probably this. I mean, here's the thing. I would say Bob O'Reilly and Won't Get Fooled Again.
Yeah.
I think people, I would put it up there with those. People know those songs. Your average casual listener would know that. But here's the thing. I'll tell you what. I bet if I played Pinball Wizard and Won't Get Fooled Again and Bob O'Reilly for my mom, and said, like asked her what band it was, like she would probably recognize Pinball Wizard being
over the other one. Yeah.
Over those other songs.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So then I'm just going to kind of breeze through because there's so many tracks.
There are.
So there's a doctor, right? They find a doctor who supposedly has this cure.
Is there a doctor in the house?
The doctor comes up with that the blindness is not caused by physical things. It's caused by a mental block due to what Tommy saw, or according to his parents, didn't see. And so then he does the whole go to the mirror thing. And Tommy like looks at himself and takes it in. And go to the mirror starts to get that theme that I talked about, the whole listening to you, I get the music, gazing at you, I get the heat, following you, I climb a mountain, I get excitement at your feet. And dude, I'm not looking at those lyrics. I just know those. I know those ones that well.
He's that good, folks.
And then you get Tommy, can you hear me? They're trying to get through to him. And then the whole smash the mirror bit. And then I'm a sensation. Like, and it was weird because when I read this, it made it sound like Tommy kind of wakes up and he realizes that he can become a leader. And I think that was the line that I read. And I was like, that's a interesting line.
Yeah. And I will say, even just going back a track, at the end of Smash the Mirror, they actually smash a mirror.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very literal. When I heard it, I was like, man, I feel like they could have found they could have recorded that better, or found it was just like, is this like, it almost sounded like it was like from a cartoon or something. I was like, is that stock audio or something? I know. Or did you guys?
And not in the way Mr. Bungle makes cartoon sounds.
No, not like that.
I know what you mean.
Like you know what I mean?
So we flip it to the last side, and you get the miracle cure. He's cured. That's a 10-second song, so that's about how much time we're going to spend on it.
I'm cured.
And then you got Sally Simpson, Did you read about this song a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I know there's some meaning, but apparently it was sort of inspired by a gig that they played with the Doors.
Yeah, and there was a lot of violence at this. Yeah.
Which, it's weird because even back then, I mean, it was probably because, Morrison got drunk and couldn't sing and people got pissed
and then
off
you think of the who like literally put dynamite in the fucking drum set at one point. So, yeah.
But even the song itself is interesting because it talks about someone getting stitches and marrying some rock star in California.
Yeah, I know.
I know Jim Morrison had, his fair share of, women, but his main one was Pamela Corson, who he was actually married to, I believe, at some point. So I don't know if Sally Simpson's kind of like just a whatever fake name or whatever, but or if that has any relation to it whatsoever.
No, that's interesting.
I just thought it was an interesting story. Anyways, that was the influence they had.
I know. So I know. I did too. And then, dude, you get to I'm Free, which I think is awesome. And apparently this is Tommy's take on his newfound wholeness in what he's going to bill as his religion / whatever.
Yes.
And so once you get to that, then he welcomes you in the song Welcome, which I like that song. And then to Tommy's Holiday Camp, which is written by Keith Moon.
And that is you just need to experience that song.
It is kind of true. Like the beginning is like a weird fucking acid circus
that's what I was thinking. Yeah. I was like, man, it sounds like this creepy circus track. Like that's what I put down.
But then you end the album with We're Not Gonna Take It, and that's an awesome song, dude. Never have and never will.
Gonna take it. Dude, yeah. And it's a great song. Now, this is a longer song to end the album with. I mean, it's like 7 minutes, but again,
but they kind of go back into some things because they go, I believe in We're Not Gonna Take It. They go back into Looking at You, I Get the Music, to me, that bit of the album is my favorite.
Yeah, and you have to do that if you're gonna call it a rock opera, and you've kind of brought these themes back and motifs throughout the whole album. You really need to finish.
It's like at the end of an opera or a play where they go back into the themes and all the characters run back out on the stage. You know what I mean? Exactly. And kind of, yeah.
It's like the last episode of Seinfeld where just all the characters show back up, right? Yeah. It's pretty much the same thing. Right?
Yeah. So, all right, dude. I think you're on the tee this time. I'm really interested to hear what your scratch is going to be because this is a tough one because of how it all goes together.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. There's probably, and typically we don't have, I'll say typically we don't have this problem. I will say there's actually probably a few songs I could scratch.
Yeah, like, I agree.
Same with me. Like, yeah, they're fine. I could live without them and I'd be okay. But it's hard not to take the story into account.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I hear you. And that's why this was tough for me.
So I actually, I had a couple marked, and even as we were thinking about it, I'm like, gosh, do I have a final one or whatever? And even now there's two that I'm really kind of deciding between.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with track number 4 off disc 2, side 2, which is the song Welcome. And it's a slow song. It has a little bit of a folky feel at times with the acoustic. And I think and I'm not against this, but there's a part where you hear harmonica being played. And I feel like that just kind of didn't fit the album to me.
I think that's a fair statement, dude.
And so it just kind of, I don't know. It was just one of those, it took me out of it a little bit. And I'm like, you know what? We haven't heard that before. We're almost at the end of the album when we're introducing like
and now we're going to bring this shit in?
Yeah. Like,
and that's when you would say,
what the fuck is that shit?
Instead of being like, oh, now you're bringing up old shit. It's like, oh, now you're bringing up new shit. I mean, so. Yeah. That was one. I'd love to hear yours, and I'd be happy to maybe after you give yours, I'll expand on maybe one or two that I would be like, I can appreciate it for a listen to the album, but maybe not every time.
Well, then I will say that I will start with those ones. And for me, those ones are Cousin Kevin and Fiddle About. They're off-putting. It's pretty dark, especially Fiddle About. I mean, I can't imagine like actually writing a song about a kid being molested. Like that's seriously like fucked up.
It's off limits stuff.
Yeah. But to me, the one I would scratch, in all honesty, and I'm primarily taking the story and the flow into account, is Sally Simpson. Now, I actually like the song Sally Simpson, dude. Sally knew deep down her heart that her and Tommy were worlds apart. I think the song is a good song, but I also think that if you took that song out of the album, I don't think the story's fucked up.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
The story holds.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Definitely sort of not fitting or being needed. There's these short little ones, kind of like There's a Doctor. I mean, we have 4 seconds. Even, dude, all due respect to Keith Moon, today, Tommy's Holiday Camp, like, dude, that's just a kind of a weird song. The one in it, and you made a really good point of this when we were going through the tracks, and I did not make this connection, but it makes perfect sense, is the track after the Acid Queen. It's like, oh yeah,
the Underture, man.
The Underture. So here's the thing, it's 10 minutes, and it doesn't really go anywhere or do anything. I don't even think there's any lyrics, and I'm just like, okay, not. like it's like, I don't know if I need 10 minutes of that. Not to say that is even bad, but here's the thing. If I'm making this a single disc, that's not going to make the cut because I'm not going to have that take up a quarter of the album.
Understood. Yeah, I hear you.
So that's where I'm at.
Okay.
That's where I'm at. All right, fans and friends.
Scratched. It's done.
It's officially scratched. So why don't you guys play along, and it would be great to know what tracks you guys would scratch from this. You can take some of the easier ones, like There's a Doctor and whatnot, but maybe you think that one is just essential to the album and you want to keep it on there. And if you want to really take a deep dive with us, if you can make this a 44-minute album, Grim? Give us a side 1 and a side 2.
Yeah, we'll say 45 will be nice. Because I mean, when you look at, they had a side that was 22:59, so I think you can make an argument for a 45-minute album at that point.
Pushing the limits right there.
Yeah. Definitely. Oh shit.
So, woo. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up, Grim.
Yes, indeed.
Right. All right.
Hope you enjoyed, and we will scratch you later on
Dude and Grim Show.
Scratch Your Track is produced by the Dude and Grim. Additional music provided by Moore and the Tims. Copyright 2021, The Dude and Grim Show.